Hey, what do you know? My little ploy works. So we're direct to YouTube now. Um, Hopefully, it's one of those things. Like I'm looking at a little teeny version of the stream. So my watermark is on that. Anyway, I tell you, I love Restream, or I have up to this point. I still do. I don't know that they're at fault for the quality issues here. Take a look at the Stream Health tab. Yeah, so the throughput was good previously. Now it is listed as excellent. That's sort of an arbitrary, like, well, that seems better. You know, is that really a better thing? I don't know. So let me get the game going, and then we'll chat more about this. For folks who chat at me today, little patience because my dashboard is now completely hosed. This is a really different setup, so I'll do my best. Not intentionally ignoring anyone. Y'all are the reason I go online. Wouldn't be much point in streaming without, talking to the folks who stop by to say hi. And get the game started here. So the other thing I'm doing today, never mind all the... Whoa, that was interesting. Never mind all the... boy, my brain just died. Never mind all the problems with Restream and stream quality and all that. Didn't think there was anything wrong with quality. Well, that's good. When I was watching the replay of Little Nightmares, it was ghastly. It was like... You know those compression artifacts? Oh, YouTube not receiving enough video to maintain a smooth... Oh, it looks like oh, we have other issues. Did 76 crash? Nope, it's coming back. Maybe. Maybe. Survival tent could not be placed. That's fine. We'll stay here. But anyway, yeah, Little Nightmares, you get those compression artifacts where when you look at, since most of the game is dark, you're looking at a dark screen and what you see are those blocky pixels flitting all over. That shouldn't be happening. Like, I should be able to... I tested my bandwidth last night. I had like a 30 megabit per second upload speed, and they recommend, like, I'm using maybe 6 of that for streaming. So, in fact, I've got my streaming settings set to 6K. Hardware encoding. This should be just fine. Like, you should be seeing a crystal clear image. I mentioned that I'm having some local issues, which I think it's time for kind of a stream status. All of a sudden, it's poor. This is going to be interesting. I'll tell you, I'm kind of done with it. Like, I hate all the I'm not a hardware or a network engineer where I think you deal with this kind of thing more often. I'm a software engineer, and I'm like, no, you're supposed to just make it work. All this variability? No, we're not doing that. Anyway, let's get going. So the other thing I'm doing today in Fallout, specifically, I don't want to pay for the Fallout First subscription anymore. It is time to get rid of this thing. So we're going to have to figure out what to do. Figure out which stuff that I want to save. Figure out which stuff I am just going to drop off at other people's camps, Still says poor. Looks okay on my side. It's all an experiment. So what do we want to keep? We definitely want to keep this, even though there's not that much of it. It's funny, this is what has kept me paying for that stupid subscription for how long. Like, I don't want to get rid of any of this stuff. And the thing is, I don't actually play the game enough to justify any of it. My psychology is broken. I don't need concrete scrap like I have. So the lead we want definitely. Loose screws and springs, the little things. Nuclear waste is kind of slow to come by. Ultracite, yeah, that'd be good to keep. Black titanium scrap, probably. Copper. Copper, maybe. I don't actually, like, I use that for wiring, but I'm pretty much done with the wiring stuff, so let me actually put that one back. I don't think I need all that. Crystal shards. Adhesive, so the adhesive, those basic things, right? Loose gears. Plastic I will use for shotgun shells. We can bulk up a bunch of this stuff too. In the steel, I want to keep a lot of it, but not all of it. Stream looks great to you. Good. Good deal. If you don't mind my asking, what are you viewing it in, like, what resolution are you viewing it in? Because if your internet connection is good enough too, you should be able to see it in 1080p, and it should look, again, no artifacts, no dithering, no nothing. I gotta wonder if there's got to be a hardware device that they make. Like, I want a monitor. I wonder if they have to have done this sort of thing. Maybe I'm kind of naive about networking stuff, so maybe this is more complex than I think it is. But having something where you can get a little box, and it measures, how would you measure that? I want some measure of network throughput quality. Maybe you can't determine that without knowing what you're trying to send. Because how do you determine the baseline? How do you know that it's really going through? Or do you just have a number showing here's the rate at which data is going through? But put one between my computer and the router, between the router and the cable modem. Like, I want something so I can record or, like, create a display where I can see the numbers, so I can measure my in-house network quality. All this stuff, it's super hard to measure. It's like, it drives me a little bonkers because, like I said, with my technical background, I'm used to being able to divide a problem to the point where I can, like, pin it down to this area. Even if I don't know exactly what's going on, I at least know which things to eliminate to see where the issue is. There's so many different variables in this that figuring out what is killing your performance, it's enough to drive a person crazy. All right, let's bulk stuff up. I think we have to go to the...
We are the proletariat.
Now, bulking does not let you duplicate, which is really too bad. That would be outstanding. But I'm going to do that anyway, just in case I'm wrong. Maybe it's just a really rare event. And, yeah, let's craft. We're just going to bulk up a bunch of our materials. Bulk. Bulk acid. So the things that we just got, like bulk adhesive. Keep going. That is a lot. Does this really reduce it? Does this do anything to help me store more of it? Is there any other reason? This is an awful lot of just boring keyboard clicking. So let me... I'll do this one thing. I'll load them in. And that'll be... The next one will be more of a formal experiment here. We started without checking the numbers. So yeah, today's so day off work. I've already done a little writing this morning. Man, I am stuck in this one part. It's not... I have found in these 2+ years now that I've been really dedicated to writing every day, I found that the things I thought were going to be difficult, the thinking up like a particular phrasing that... Now we listen to a half an hour of weird gluey noises. Seriously, is that just going to go on for like 15 minutes now? Let's just back out and see if it stops. There we go. Yike. Huh. Alright. Yeah, the things that are difficult are not finding that just the exact right phrasing. It's these simple little transitions. It's there's other aspects to the structure of the story and the paragraph to paragraph what you write that just drive me bonkers. I know it happens here. I know it happens here. Smooth segue. Nope. Let's spend 2 weeks on that. Like, really? That doesn't seem like a good use of time. I'll get past it. We'll figure it out. It's just right now. Did it put everything in? It wouldn't have put everything in there. Oh, that's miscellaneous, not junk. That's why. $4.80, but that's the highest option for you. Okay, so that's part of the reason that you're seeing the seeing things okay, and that's cool. That's good. I'm glad that is coming through for you. Yeah, again, now it says excellent, so good deal. We've seen a lot of variability in our internet connection, which, again, as much as you pay for that, drives me nuts. We'll put that in there too. Okay, so what we're gonna do, for example, let's do one that probably weighs quite a bit. I don't have a lot that weighs quite a bit, actually. So let's go look at let's get the steel out of the scrap. Steel. Okay, I gotta jot down some numbers here. Get out the spreadsheet. It's time for math. It's just arithmetic, though. Boring math. That's a problem with math. It's not that, people are... a lot of people grow up thinking they're bad at math or that they just hate it.
Wait, that's...
The utilitarian math that they teach in school is some of the most, basic, boring... They do such a garbage job of teaching it. When you get into these more advanced areas that people think of as really hard, you get a good teacher who explains it right, man, it opens your eyes in ways you wouldn't have expected. Let's see. It's awesome. It gives you a new view on things. Same thing with programming. Let's go down to steel scrap. Okay, so right now gotta check something here. So, actually, I'm gonna go back here again. Go down to steel scrap. Take that. Okay. Going to whoop. Let's not shoot the stash box. No, it's okay. It's our friend. Put it away. Let's see. We'll go over to junk. Excess adhesives, hardening mass. Let's do the steel scrap. It's not saying no explicitly. I'm not seeing them. I mean, obviously, I'm pretty close to the limit here. Loose spring? It's not gonna let me. I have no room to put anything in there. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Oh, this sucks. Alright, so first thing we do is get rid of a bunch of stuff that I have stored up in here. Blah. Alright. I knew this would be a job. This is why I've been avoiding this. Put everything back. You just scrap and store. There we go. All done. Blah. I should probably get dressed for the day here. Let's go put on some clothes. Yep, your math teacher who was teacher for my 5 math classes and 3 computer classes was the reason you dropped out. Oh, yeah, see, you did a lot of that. Right? That's too bad. Yeah, I had a teacher in college who, he was a bit of a bully. He was a weird relationship. He was a bit of a bully, but he was also a really good teacher. And he's the one who, maybe a little brutally, like really started opening my eyes to mathematics. Now, granted, this wasn't until college. This was until like third year of a degree in physics, and it was advanced math for science. But the thing is, what he ended up teaching, there's like 5 people in the class too. It's one of those. It's a weeder. It's an upper division weeding course, meaning that even people who have been in the program for a little bit, they hit that class, and if you can't make that, you just gotta back out. You gotta find some other path. And the things that we learned in there weren't just the really advanced calculus. The things that he ended up being really, where he would turn into a bit of a bully, is where we hadn't been taught some of the most basic things. Like in American schools, you're either not taught math or you're taught a very utilitarian sort of version of math that's more about basic home accounting, even though they don't teach you the actual basic home accounting. But it's about, arithmetic and sort of a weird version of algebra, and I don't know. I know that there are good math teachers out there, and what I'm saying isn't universal, but on the whole, you get a lot of problems in the way we teach math. Okay, so I've got my armor. I'm all armed up. I've got bullets and guns and the whole thing. So let's do this. Let's try to get rid of some of the legendaries that are in my stash. And actually, before I even do that, let me grab some of the grenades that were in there. Weapons. So like this thing we're getting rid of. Not keeping it for any good reason. Anti-armor, hardened pump action shotgun. Is that a legendary? You can't. It has so many things. Yeah, it's a 3-star legendary. Plus 50 damage resistance while aiming. Ignores 50% of your. Yeah, we can put that one in the machine. Why not? Let's load that one up. Baseball grenades. I'm taking cryogenic grenades. Get rid of all the grenades in there. What? Oh, that's weird. They're like divided up into 2 places. You try to ask for help. Cats are losing their minds here. One at a time, really? Fragmentation grenades. Guess we'll take them. Furious maximum capacity Dell shot. I can't do anything with that, and I don't want to use it. Guitar sword, I don't care. That one I'm keeping. Nocturnal. Nope, sorry. I'd like to, but no. No. Plasma grenades. Pulse grenades. We're going to have to go on a grenade binge here. Sting, we don't need anymore. The dragon I'm keeping. Trail fireworks. No. Good point. Here. Vampire suppressed auto machine submachine gun. I'm going to switch back to that one. Let's see. Try to ask for help. She'd tell you. She yell at you for getting up and walking to her to ask for help because she wanted us to stay seated. But if you would raise your hand, she wouldn't watch. She would watch movies on her computer and would yell at anybody for talking. So you'd sit there for an hour with your hand in the air and then wouldn't be able to do anything. And that's such a basic failure, right? That's not even just being bad at teaching math. That's just being you get that. It's funny. My wife and I were just talking about this yesterday. We were talking about some teachers, really similar experiences, where she had a teacher from when she was younger who, like, as a person, I'm a person engaging with another person, right? And so you kind of expect that she went and saw this teacher from grade school, and the teacher didn't remember her, which happens. I mean, how many students do they have, right? But instead of going, oh gosh, I don't remember that, she was just like, robot. And as a kid, you're encouraged to think of your teachers as something more than just, like, there's a relationship there, even with the ones that you don't get along great with. And so going back and going, oh, hi, it's me, remember me? And it's like, not just no, but just straight face, like, no. Like, that's it, out. Teachers need a certain degree of warmth, humanity in what they do. if you and I can only imagine that for some teachers that gets really hard over time. It's given all the problems that we have going on that can be very. I've not done it, so I want to be careful talking about it. But it can become really dispiriting. But if you find yourself in that situation like you described, where you have just kind of checked out,
Things I miss about
time to take a sabbatical, time to do something else, switch
list.
gears. I guess it's easy to say, but that's really hard to do. So my experience, I had a teacher who, he's the one who actually taught me programming. He's the one who,
The only
this was back in the,
that can be
like in
trusted
1980.
is
So this
the
was like
shared
TRS
capitalist
model, TRS 80 computer with big giant 5.5-inch floppy disks and hardly any memory. But it was my first experience computing, and he taught us how to write adventure games and that kind of thing. I was one of like 3 or 5 kids in there who got to do this. It was brilliant. And this was the same guy who he played role-playing games. Unfortunately, this was during the satanic panic of the 80s. And so there were, I think we only ever had one session. I think there's a lot of stuff that went on in class after school where he helped us make up our characters. He even helped us write programs to like roll dice to generate our characters. I mean, he was awesome, right? He was a hard teacher, but he was a really good one, and he clearly liked his students. And best DM I've ever met. Best dungeon master I've ever played a game with. I learned a lot from him, even in the limited amount of time that we played. He had more than one session. That's right, because one was actually at my house, and another was at a friend's house who lived across the street from the school. And he had case upon case of those figures that he would use. He had mapping equipment. He was a very serious player. And it was a lot of fun. It was so much fun. It was like some of my best memories from later grade school. And so between the computing and, so the Dungeons and Dragons ended because parents found out about it and they wigged out. It's satanic, it's this, it's demon worship. Good night. So that put an end to that. But here's the thing. Here's where it kind of... There was one point where, because the school I went to after that one didn't have computers, I asked him if I could come back after school and keep learning. I couldn't afford one at home. And he said, yeah. And so that was awesome. And I did, and I went back, and I was trying different things, and then it just kind of, it just stopped. Like, he made it very clear I was not welcome, and got very cold, and from that moment on, every time I saw him in public, he wouldn't make eye contact. He would just kind of like, oh, yeah, okay, and leave. Like, he just, like, I became, the way I think of it is, I became like an offense to him somehow. And I still to this day don't know why. I don't know. And I'm like, I was a pretty messed up kid in a lot of ways. Not going to talk about that here, but for a lot of reasons, I was a problem child.
Idea of liberty leads
But you hope that teachers aren't going to just walk away from that.
see through the lies.
And it left me looking for what I had done to warrant that. I actually see him on Facebook now every once in a while, because he posts to pages related to my hometown, which I monitor because I still think of that as my hometown. And I don't know, maybe at some point I'll reach out just to say hi. See, your whole class failed a test, she said. I'm disappointed in every single one of you. You all need to actually try. It's called a textbook. You open it and study. There's also, there's a lot of, like, we homeschooled our kids. And the first attempts to teach math, where you're like, 2 and 2 is 4, this sort of thing, at a very young age, you very quickly learn that it's not just presenting material that gets absorbed and they regurgitate it, and there's so much you have to engage with. There's so many different things you have to do. My daughter is actually a teacher now. with the COVID thing, she's teaching for an individual family because teaching in a public school is it's just it's everything's up in the air right now. But she's commented on that too. You know how the different things that you have to do to teach well, and so this idea of I can't. It's hard for me to imagine how a thinking, self-conscious, what's the word? Self-observant, self-aware adult could be in a job like that, have something like that happen where everyone fails a test, and they are like, well, they're all really messed up. It's like, you might want to look in the mirror just a little bit. I mean, it could be both things. It could be a tough class, but also, what's really going on? I don't know. I think sometimes people get into those jobs. Actually, we'll keep that one in there too, because I'll just put that in the machine. Get into those jobs for reasons, I don't know, because we all have to pick a job. You get to a certain point and you're just supposed to say, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. And then you pursue it, and if it turns out it's not what you really wanted to do, well, it's what you chose, so stick with it. Alright, let's get rid of some of these legendaries. Do that.
Well, is a pretty mask that hides fascism.
Same price for everything. And I'm not going to fix anything up. If people want them, they can have them. If not, that's fine. Cryogenic, let's see. Final word we're keeping. It's fine. No, we got to scrap that. That's all. Mutant's combat knife. I don't know if anyone's going to want that thing. Thing is, putting them in here, wait a minute, they're just going back in my, I forgot, this counts against my weight limit, so this is not helping. This is not doing what I want it to do. Let's take that. No one has wanted, that's been in there for a while. Yeah, sorry folks, I'm just going to have to go. We're going to leave this empty. We'll go scrap a few things, and then we'll go and, oh, someone upstairs.
You've got a great place here.
And then the rest we're taking to Mama Mumbles. We'll sell them off there.
My dreams need to settle down.
Focus here. Come on. There we go. Scrap items. Weapons. Bye. Goodbye. Bye, Sting. Anything there? No? Do I have any armor in the stash that's taking up space? Let's take a look. There's a book on math. I'm not going to kid you. It is very, very hard to read. But it's the best written book on a very difficult subject I've ever seen. It's called Gödel Escher Bach. I don't agree with his metaphysical conclusions about, you know, human consciousness and this sort of thing. But that's where it goes. It's a math book that ends up with a comment on the nature of consciousness and self-awareness. Really, really good. He takes you through this exercise early in the book where he's making up a game. It's a boring game. It's not a fun game you would play, but it's kind of a system of rules. And you eventually realize what he did was show you that the way we write out something like addition, the way we manipulate symbols to do math, isn't the only way to do it. Like, you could create a lot of different systems for doing that. They're called formal systems. What we do in mathematics is one example. That idea alone, when you really get into it, where you're like, wait a minute, these are sort of arbitrary rules, and what are the rules to making up the rest of the rules in this? You really do start to see things differently. After reading that book, I went on to look at for work, like for something that I was doing with programming, some other more advanced math topics. And instead of just seeing this wall of symbols like I used to, it's like, oh, it's a formal system. Here are the key tenets, like here are the axioms, here are the different theorems. Help me understand proofs better.
man, off the chems.
And I read it after college. Like I read it after I already had got my degree and all that. Had to struggle through all that. We do things backwards sometimes. All right. What I was going to look for is stuff in here that I don't need. Like an amusement park worker outfit we don't need. Ultrasight chassis will keep. The asylum worker I have a complete set of asylum worker hats, which we're going to scrap. Even though they're super like light and not going to be an issue. Okay, this we have to get rid of. That we have to get rid of. Cowboy hat we keep. The glasses, the bowler hat. The Brotherhood lab coat, the campaign hat. No. Get rid of that. Nope. That we'll keep. Top hat, yeah. Clean spacesuit helmet. I've never seen another one of those, so we'll keep that. You would work on the homework with your mom, and you would hit a wall so hard with algebra that you'd sit there crying because you'd have so much going through your brain. Yeah, I was there too. It's no fun. No fun at all. No, I don't think I failed it, but I think I got a D or a D minus the first time I took algebra, so I went back and did it again. And again, it wasn't until like later, and I got just the right angle on it that it like clicked. And then by the time I was studying starting to get into it in college, I was like, this is not so bad. It took forever though. It took a lot of failure first. But you'd also be going on probably 3 or 4 hours of sleep a night because of that homework, so you're exhausted, and that factors into everything. Yeah. Can't get rid of the IRA. Probably won't let me delete it, but farm hand clothes we don't need. The Fashna beret we don't want. Wish it would stop popping up to the top there.
We gotta protect what we...
It all adds up, doesn't it?
It's worth it.
Crazy dye mask. Deathclaw mask. Giant... The masks oh, we don't need 2 of them. We'll take one of those. One of those. One of those. And 2 of those. Fisherman's outfit we'll keep. We don't really need the hat. Garb of Mysteries is gross. Golf outfit, golf skirt, green shirt, and combat boots. Nah. Halloween costume skull. Yeah, we'll keep that. I can make another one of those, so I don't need to keep that around. Look at all the armor I'm keeping in there. I'm doing this wrong again. I've got to put all my legendary stuff back in. Jeez.
It's always good to see
Silly.
you around, friend.
Leave it there, leave it there. Padded blue jacket. Party hat. Pioneer Scout tadpole uniform. Polly's old head. Built to kill. Yeah, we don't need the prototype hazmat suit. We don't need the skiing outfit. Spacesuit's fine. One will do. No. That's fine. Nope. Yeah, I'll keep that. I should probably save that, but I'm not gonna. I don't want that.
Man, I still can't believe it.
Wedding ring. Okay. So I'm going to scrap a few things, and then, again, because I'm talking and not thinking as I go, I'm doing things in a weird order. So I just really need to scrap some stuff in here, like the amusement park worker outfit, the hats. There we go. All right.
Deviant materials will be confiscated.
Do you remember your English teacher really liked you in this class because you always had a different point of view from him, He'd sit there and debate stuff for in front of the whole class. Yeah, that's fun. Similar sort of thing. I had a teacher that when I started getting into writing, was at first really good. And yeah, same thing. We'd sit there and debate things in front of the class, and it was all in good fun. He was a really nice guy. Little downside in that when I started writing more experimental things, because I was new at it, and I was kind of exploring like what makes a story. Like, I don't have a story idea, I just have an image to go from, maybe something from a dream or whatever. And so I would write that. I would just kind of do some free writing based on that, and I would share it with him, and he got really, like, I showed him one, and he's like, well, there's no plot. I'm like, well, not yet. Like, I'm just kind of experimenting. And then I showed him another one, and he was just like, nah. Like, never mind, all done. I'm like, really? Again, the number of teachers I've known who, and not just from me, like hearing other people talk too, the number of teachers who just kind of quit on their students. I don't know, it's just hard to imagine. I've not been a teacher, but I have been in a role where you have to support people who are not perfect. Surprise, surprise, right? I know what it's like to feel that frustration when you just can't, you're having trouble. Yeah, we don't get rid of that. This one is cool. It's not as cool as my other one. I'm just going to stick with that. I like the faster rate of fire idea, but it otherwise doesn't work very well.
We are the collective.
And then, yeah, it wouldn't let me get rid of...
The party. We are
I didn't see those turn up in the scrap pile, so I may have to just dump them somewhere.
For the crew.
And if it won't let me set them down and won't let me, like, take... If I have to keep them in storage and it won't let me set it down, I'm going to have to look for a hack, because that's lame. The idea that it's like, oh, you picked that up once. Now it's forever in your inventory. That would stink. Let's see. Like this question. What would you do if a teacher would make comments about you being the worst student and point you out for being stupid in front of the class? So you're saying that's the sort of thing that you would debate with the teacher? I think I remember you mentioning that before, actually. Okay, so now I'm unencumbered enough. What are you doing? Get away from that. That's mine. Red Scorpion Stinger. Get rid of that. Oh, it's from the gun. That's right. Apparel. Yeah, there's a bunch of apparel that's just not going to let me scrap, so let's go see if I can put it down somewhere. We would get into debates about different books, about grammatical things, odds and ends of stuff. He's a pretty cool guy. Last I heard of him, he was teaching English in Japan. That was decades ago, though. Long time ago. Not sure what ever happened.
Well, is a 3D mask that I
Cannot be crafted. Are you sure? Yeah, I just don't care about that. Yep. Goodbye. Someone come by and find a bunch of Fasnacht stuff, which kind of dime a dozen right now anyway. Alright, so got a bunch of grenades we gotta go through too, and an orbital scan beacon. Trail fireworks, you know, arm those. Let's go kill some things. I armed the wrong grenades. There we go. that. They're little grenades, but I have a lot of them. There we go. Alrighty, that's a question that started us debating. You told him you'd turn the teacher in and it wouldn't be your problem anymore. He loved your point of view. Cool. Interesting that he would be asking you that too. You know, the thing, depending on the teacher, like how long they've been doing it or kind of based on their own experience, you can kind of see him, like maybe there'd been an incident and he was kind of feeling out like, I don't know, what do you do in those cases? The guy I was talking about, the English teacher who I used to debate with, he was a student teacher, right? So he was getting his degree in teaching from the local university. And I think he enjoyed coloring outside the... I know he enjoyed coloring outside the lines a bit. He introduced me to some things that... I mean, they're literary, but they were not the sort of thing that the school would have approved of at the time, just because of some of the language and ideas in them. But yeah, he gave me stuff to read. But again, I think back about how that was at a point where I was kind of figuring out what I wanted to do. And I'll tell you, honestly, I struggle a little bit. I go back and forth between wishing I had actually had the courage to pursue writing as a career instead of programming. Because programming for me is actually relatively easy. The work itself is recreational, frankly. It's not like it's all easy. I mean, but it just has... Compared to writing, programming is a joy. The act of writing, brutally painful. I've talked about this before, I think. I don't want to repeat myself too much. Really painful, awful, but the result lasts a long time. So what do you want to do? Given a choice, you can choose a career where you enjoy the day-to-day work. You're actually fairly content doing it. But you rarely, if ever, find lasting meaning in what you do, or lasting satisfaction. Or you can choose a job where it's a daily trial, it's a daily chore. It taxes you mentally and emotionally. But every once in a while you'll hit a point where you're done, you finish a project, and there's a deep, lasting sense of satisfaction that makes you feel like you may have found some higher purpose in life or some deeper satisfaction. Which one do you choose? Which career? I know what I chose. Actually, I tried to cheat. I thought, you know what? Programming will pay well. I will do that. And I will work hard to do something that lets me get out of the cycle. That was my big plan. I was going to learn programming and build some kind of product that I could sell for millions of dollars and get out of the game and then do what I wanted. And the kicker is, I actually did it. I made a couple things that could have done that. But I was completely naive about people. I did not have a mentor. I did not have an advocate. I had someone who and again, that talked about people disappointing you. I had someone who I thought was an advocate. I had someone who literally for 2 years I thought was advocating my work to the right audience, was defending what I was doing. And I ended up building some technology that was really cool. Absolutely. I can say now, looking back, ahead of its time. I still have part of it. Can't do anything with it, but you know, when you pour yourself into something like that. So I made something that would have made our team way more productive, solved some core problems at the company. Like, it was a good thing. I can honestly look back at it and go, like, I made something worthwhile. Which one is that now? Oh, I'm looking at the wrong side again, darn it. Anti-armor, hard, furious. That we just have to drop, unfortunately. And what ended up happening, I worked on that, and I also worked on some software architecture that was, again, meant to kind of deal with some of the core problems the company was having. And the whole time thought this guy was helping me, because I was kind of naive about, this was one of my first tech jobs, and I was naive about, how do we present this? Like, how do we kind of win people over to the idea so that we can do something with it? The company I had worked at before did that. When they had a couple engineers who, when they developed some key new technology, there's one guy who made some early stuff in machine vision, like recognizing things for manufacturing processes. They had all sorts of stuff that at this prior company where they'd make something, their parent company they worked for realized that there was a bigger market for this, but that they didn't want to manage that themselves. So what they did was help that engineer set up their own small company. They would act as a broker with some of their clients and they could develop some of it on their own, but then the company that started them off had rights of first refusal on some of the core technology. So if they ever decided they wanted to sell something, they would have to go back to that parent company first. Everyone benefited. It was a brilliant working relationship. The company was kind of scary in other ways, but that was the one model I had seen for doing stuff like that, right? Was that the company you work for is going to help you out and help you develop this technology, and you'll both benefit. Maybe you can even start a little company. And the next company I worked for, I just went in naively assuming that would also be a possibility here. And I'm not totally stupid. I'd look around and they clearly were not the same sort of thing, but I kept thinking, I can sell this, I can develop, I can bring them around to this idea. Let's just say it did not go well. They ended up taking the technology, handing it over to someone else. Just gave it to them to manage. Someone who had no idea how it worked. When I developed some of the architecture recommendations going forward, they gave that to the same person too, with the exception that this time they credited it to him. They actually attributed the work to him, because that would make it easier for him to promote it within what he was doing. So that was sort of the end of my plan, though I didn't know it at the time, to develop some kind of tool technology that would make me lots of money so I could go off and do music and writing. I kept trying to find some kind of, better way to do this. Like, maybe I was just thinking about it wrong. I just need to find some better angle on this. And so, the next couple of companies, it was similar. I developed things that would almost take off. I developed a technology at one of the next companies that wasn't really something that you'd package up and sell. But it was something, it was innovative, it did an important job in our systems really well. And so the guy, he was wasn't our CTO, he was kind of our chief architect at the time, came and talked to me and said, do you think this would work if we replicated this pattern throughout the architecture? And I said, yeah. And we started talking about, what would happen there. And then again, the company had nothing to do with me. The company made a weird move, business-wise, technology-wise, that kind of ticked off the chief architect. Well, he went off to become a VP of search at Google. And I mentioned that because, honestly, to lend some credence to the idea that what I came up with was not, it wasn't just in my head. It wasn't just, me being overconfident in some idea. This was something that someone else who was also very, very bright, capable, saw value in. But again, it got it got trashed slowly. I'm going to save that one. I think I'm going to sell that one. Anyway, here I am, 20 some odd years into the career, and honestly not at all interested in doing that kind of thing anymore. I've those are only two stories. I had so many examples along the way where I worked really hard to develop something and it just got dumped on. And like I was saying earlier, you have to look at the commonality in all those things, and it was me. And so there's something that I have failed to understand repeatedly. It's no fun, though. It is definitely fuel for a lot of bitterness, unfortunately. Maybe we'll try to sell that one too. So yeah, like now writing, it's not how I would have liked to have approached it. I feel like I wasted a lot of time, and I'm kind of racing the clock now to finish to learn how to write well enough to do what I want to do. But that's how it goes. Save that one too. I think people like the chameleon pieces, so. Okay, so that's all of that for today. The rest should just go back in here. That one will sell. Yeah, it happens. You know, given where you are, just, you know, learn from my mistakes. So my godson was also homeschooled and learned... it's hard to talk about this for various reasons. I'll just kind of give you the short version. One of the things I advised him along the way was, like, all the math and all the technology and all that, it is important to learn, you know. But make sure you understand something about people. Make sure you understand what motivates them. Learn how to read them. Build relationships. If I had to pin everything that happened on one major fault, it would be that I failed to learn how to build good, genuine, lasting relationships. Because honestly, I mean, given a lot of stuff that happened early on, I didn't want to. I really wanted to do it alone. And that's not a good idea. That's never a good idea. And there are a lot of things I did, like I was talking about, the technology that I developed, I did it independently. Like, I learned enough that, and I learned a broad enough skill set, deep enough that, yeah, there's a lot of things that it helped. It definitely helped my career. Being able to adapt myself so readily to so many different kinds of problems. That is a good thing. If you can pull that off, that'll help you out. It's just that it's not enough. It is necessary, beneficial. It is not sufficient for the big picture, for the long term. So, learn things about people. And there's good and bad versions of that. And I would advise anyone against the bad versions. You know, the one where you become manipulative. The one where you learn about people so that you can control them. Don't do that to yourself, and don't do that to other people. Not that you would, you know, Jamie, personally, who's here and listening. Not that you would ever do that. I'm just saying to people in general, like, there's enough of that already. No one needs more of that. You know, and this is fed into how we've raised our kids, too. You know, they were there along the way, and they saw what happened to me, and all the anger and everything, going through all these experiences. It'll feed into their lives, too. It'll change how they look at how they build their career and the work that they do. Good will come out of it. Where am I going? What am I even doing at this point? Oh, first of all, super thirsty. Let's deal with that. Let's see. Yeah, and it's weird, being so I'm about to hit a major milestone in terms of birthdays this week, in fact. Maybe I'll make a game out of that. We'll have to see. What gun do I want to use?
Responders, priority alert. Looks like
Let
those
go and
damn
remove.
fools are on the hunt again. Forest Watch has spotted multiple packs, but the Alpha's whereabouts are unknown. I repeat, Alpha's location is unknown.
Really
We
and
need to
truly?
find and kill that Alpha Wolf ASAP. Take out the smaller packs and draw out that Alpha. Just make sure you bring a lot of bullets. That big Alpha is
I think you're okay reading people. That's good. I'm still not. I know that there are conditions where it makes it very difficult to say, like, read emotions off of facial expressions and stuff. I've never been tested, but I wonder. I definitely, like, if I'm out with my family, I rely on my family around me to interpret things for me. I'll tell you, too, it's one of the reasons I like working at home that I've never heard anyone else talk about. And it's because, like, I work in the living room. My family is very often around me. And while they're not listening, there will be times where they might overhear part of a conversation. And it's an opportunity for me to say, I think they were upset. Were they upset? Like, what did you hear? And I get feedback from my wife, and she's like, no, not at all. Like, she is my emotional vision. It's like having a form of social blindness. Dead bear? Interesting. Grody looking. But then, yeah, being able to build those good relationships with people too. Building it on something real, something that lasts. It's been a complete mystery to me my whole life. And yeah, it's hurt. Absolutely had a detrimental effect on things. Just, sometimes just wanting different things than other people want too will do that. For a long time, like, I did want to start my own company for a long time. Made several attempts at it and fumbled all of them. Which is not unusual. It's a very difficult proposition. Go down. The other gun worked better, honestly. But in starting my own company, I didn't want to do it strictly for the money. I wanted to do it because I wanted to build something bigger than any one person. I wanted to do something that had integrity, that would last a long time. And it's not like some kind of pipe dream, naive sort I'm looking for. Jeez, what is the word I'm looking for? It just disappeared. Charity. Not like some kind of non-profit charity thing. No one does work for profit. But what I trusted was that if you organize people the right way around an idea that was bigger than them and motivational, something that really drew them in, got them excited about doing something difficult but possible, and something people have never, all those things together, that the resources and the money would follow if you, again, stayed with it, listened to your clients, paid attention to what was really going on, faced hard facts, hard questions, answered the hard questions. But what I didn't want to do was try to build something fast to sell, fast for the money. You know what I mean? Like, there's a guy that I worked with at the time who I didn't end up, working any projects with him because his idea was you're in to get out. You do something, you do it as quick and dirty as you can, you try to sell it, and there you go. And I'm not even saying that's a problem somehow. Cloaking robot right leg. Yeah, cloaking stuff, we'll try to sell it. But he clearly had a very, very different idea of what he wanted to start a company for. It's completely incompatible with what I wanted to do. So you move on. You want something else. You want something that I don't. And vice versa. Woo! Kill the third wolf back there. I thought I did. Where is he, back? Back from the dead. I thought I already did this part. You're getting good at starting to see when people were lying to you. You feel like you've... Yeah, yep, we've talked about that before. And yeah, that's a good thing to have, That's definitely... That'll help you navigate things. It's good to be shrewd. Know when people are messing with you. I ended up, since I can't read that very well, that was the other thing. I would end up a lot of the time assuming that everyone was doing that.
Congratulations!
Everyone is messing with me. And that doesn't work either. What in the heck is going on here? I don't think I've ever seen this before. That's interesting. Anyway. Keep it going. So yeah, if you want something that a minority of people want, trying to gather people around that idea can also be tough. And there were any number of times I thought I'd found it, only to find out then that, I think people very naturally think they want something if they've never experienced it. If they've never had an opportunity to really put it to the test, they may find out, they may learn something about themselves while you are trying to put together your idea or put together your plan or get things done. There are people that I worked with on this that I respect, but it ended up being that, and I feel like I was transparent with them from the outset about what I wanted to build. But when it came down to it, and it turned out that there was a lot of, frankly, dull, uninteresting work involved in doing what I wanted to do. It takes a long time. There's a lot of work that has to be done before you get to the fun part. And when that became evident, people bailed. Alright, done with that. Bunch of stim packs. Yeah. There's some stuff to scrap. Who are you?
How many more fucking empty Nuka-Cola bottles am I gonna find?
I don't know. Could say 0 and just shoot him. Yeah, I talked about that during the planning of 10-Ton Town. Yep. Yeah, you do that at times as well, especially when you're cheated. You just closed off and thought that about everyone. Yeah, and it's easy to do, right? Makes it so you don't want to make yourself vulnerable again. Honestly, I do it here too. Too much. I'm. Don't get me wrong. I'm as genuine with you and other folks here as I can be. Sometimes, in retrospect, I look back and I'll be like, maybe I said something that turns out like I was kind of hiding what I really thought because I was worried about offending someone. Happens more when you know, like sometimes big ideas come up on topics that are naturally just very divisive, right? Let's take the food laid out there. And I want to keep everything happy and nice and friendly. Because I'm just waiting for, like, if I say what I really think about a certain idea, I'm just waiting for the party to break up, right? It's very difficult to train yourself out of that. But I'm working on it. Yeah. Yeah, it's not, it's honestly not who, it's not the person I would want to be. It's kind of a personality type thing too, like people who have, I'm somewhere on the autism spectrum, right? Like not like a lot of people, and I'm not trying to say that, like sometimes it's easy to self-diagnose to kind of explain what otherwise might just be a common personality quirk. Based on testing, when I was younger, I am somewhere on the, like, the Asperger, whatever, that autism spectrum. And some people who have that, who have this particular flavor of it, don't like the societal niceties that you have to engage in order to avoid excessive friction early on in relationships. In other words, you don't like the fact that you can't just be like, day one, hi, my name is Bob. Pile of information about about formative experiences in your youth, you know. It's like, oh, I'm just being honest. It's like, well, sure. But that makes people, that degree of honesty ignores some human behaviors where people are going to become very uncomfortable. I have that a lot, but I learned to deal with it by kind of going too far the other way, I think, and just going, okay, don't ever talk about anything. So, but it is definitely, it's good to open up time to time. Also, though, you don't understand, I came from the generation that grew up with, like, Jerry Springer on the TV, if you know who that is. Jerry Springer, Maury Povich. There was this period in the 80s, in addition to all the fun vaporwave, you know, the precursors to vaporwave music and all that, and Stranger Things, you know, styled everything. There was also this, like, very sort of self-indulgent, let's get together and talk about ourselves and kind of beat our chests and cry about everything that happened. I don't mean to mock it, you know, when people really need to go through and do that, but it was the indulgent, the self-indulgent nature of it, where sometimes instead of enjoying the idea that you might be able to find some strength in areas where you had been damaged or had bad experiences previously, a lot of people really enjoyed the unloading. It became addictive. You get these shows that would just cater to people who just wanted to see people dumping their garbage, dumping all their stuff out in front of everyone, and then that's it. That's the end. That's the net result of everything, is just all, and then it turns into these screaming, you know, just these awful, ugh. Anyway, so coming from that, yeah, you end up being a little leery of overindulging in that kind of thing too. You don't want to go down that road. So anyway, this is about as much as I think I ever open up here. It's still, I don't think I'm saying anything too revolutionary or too personal. But it's nice to have someone to listen, so I appreciate that. Yeah, the way things were in the 80s. It's interesting to me. When I hear folks who get cast in the millennial mold or the Gen Z mold, talking about how things are different. Whoa. Okay, let's fix that. Let's just go outside and fix everything, actually. This notion that they're upset that, understandably, reasonably upset that getting an advanced education doesn't guarantee, a job, let alone a career. Let's just start with the job. And the thing is, being where I was back then, that idea of going to college and having a job almost guaranteed on the other end, that was not a thing. This is not a new phenomenon. It was more guaranteed if you were already well resourced and your family had connections, and that's always been true. That part's always been true. But going through college myself, never. I would watch the news year after year and watching technology things climb and then crash and climb and crash and crash and crash, and all the manufacturing's moving to China. Even back then, watching the world change and watching all the jobs go away, and the thing that my dad did growing up was already gone and had been for the better part of a decade. I need to go back in there and do stuff. I can't remember what it was that kind of triggered that thought in my brain. I was just, I don't know, felt pertinent. The way things are now, it's not as new as they may feel. I'll leave that there. Like I said, there was a connection to something I was saying, some comment or something, but it's gone now. We'll just let it lie there. Probably have some more stuff to scrap. Let me see. Indodory weapon, revolutionary sword. We don't want that. Apparel. Heavy time. No, we don't want that. How are we doing now? Go back and check our capacity. We're still going to use this while we have it. We're down to 574. That's pretty good. That's a good dent. So you had teachers that would tell kids, don't go to college. It doesn't guarantee a job. It guarantees you'll pay loans the rest of your life. Bitterness. It's true, though. It doesn't guarantee a job. It is very expensive in proportion. If you know there's something that you want to do that requires an education to even get through the door, get ready to go to college. But maybe if you can, if you are basing that on your own purely internal idea of what that career is, don't do that. Go find out what it's actually like, and there are any number of ways to do that. I mean, you can just, you will find, people like talking about what they're passionate about, right? So you will find people who do the thing that you want to do, who just want to talk about it. Go indulge them. Go to meetups and stuff. Go find people who do what you think you want to do. And don't just talk to one person. Talk to a lot of them. Get out there and talk to people. You may be surprised to find what the industry is really like. Don't be afraid to ask questions. I don't know. Clearly you love doing this, but what makes you not want to get out of bed some days? What are the things that you would want to change? What has changed in the time that you've been doing this job, Those are safe questions. There's some people might get a little defensive. Let them. Who cares? I had an interview at Microsoft once, and that's not bragging. Lots of people have had interviews at Microsoft. I clearly did not get the job, so, But I had a very educational interview at Microsoft. One of their, they surprisingly, I don't know why, they actually flew me up to their headquarters. It's the weirdest thing. Because I was, I'm good at what I do, but I was never one of those high-profile developers or anything. But yeah, they paid to fly me up to Redmond. They gave me a hotel for the night. Turns out the place was full of either Microsofties or people, being interviewed for jobs. It was like a little mini job convention or something. But the point is, the very first session of the day, go in, it's very early in the morning. People are still, the people there are still kind of groggy. Microsoft at that time had this culture of everyone gets an office. Every single developer I talked to had either their own office, or if they were more junior level, they might share that office with someone. But everyone had their own space, which is pretty unusual. Woohoo! Exit stage left, stage right, I guess. Man, 3 misses. So I'm talking to that first guy, and I asked him that question. I asked one of the, you mean, honestly, you want to be a lawyer? But you don't know that's not going to happen. I know. Look, I'm not making any sort of like, oh, but you really can do absolutely anything you want. There are some things, if you really want to do them, you're going to have to fight like hell to get them. But if that's what you want to do, there are paths. Don't think that there's only like one golden path to doing what you want to do. More on that in a minute. And I'm not going to tell you should either. That's a too personal a decision, right? That's something you really do have to figure out on your own. How bad do you want to do that? Why do you want to do that? Explore it, man. Beat it to death. Because if you're going to invest yourself in something that big, you don't need something more than romanticized. I'm not saying you have this, but people do in general. A romanticized passing interest in the thing. You're going to have to figure out how to get through the worst parts of it.
Inside.
That was a good shot. A little cinematic take there. Let's see. I was talking about... I lost my train of thought, which is totally okay because I was ranting a little bit. College is expensive. You gotta figure out what you want to do. So I talked to this guy at Microsoft. I asked him basically, what's the worst part of this job? What do you not like? Man, he opened up. I think sometimes people are just waiting for you to ask that question. You know what I mean? Like, it gives them permission to say the things that maybe aren't politically safe or sound, but that they desperately want to tell someone. But I got, and I don't mean to make fun of this guy. He was stressed out of his mind. He was frustrated. He was doing what we would now these days in software call DevOps, but it didn't have a title at the time. And because it didn't have a title, it meant that it didn't have well-defined boundaries, which also meant that in those situations, you invariably get blamed for the worst things that happen and no credit for the things that you're able to do. Unfortunately, like, people they need a simplified conceptualization of the world to navigate it very often. And so if you are working a job that is not well defined and you're working your keystroke off to get all this stuff done, but people don't understand what it is, you're in danger. It might be what you need to do. It might be worth doing. I'm not saying anything about that. But seriously, you are in danger of people causing all kinds of headaches and grief for you based on that failure to understand what it is you offer, what it is that you contribute. And this was this guy. He was doing a lot of work, a lot of very hard and thankless work. And I said, well, what are the downsides? And like I said, I got a good 15-20 minute earful about how everyone hated him. And he was, working like insane hours with no thanks and nothing but complaints. Everyone felt like... So DevOps, you have to manage security-related things, right? You have to be one of the ones to say you may do this or you may not do this. Like, you can't have access to this thing because it presents a security risk. And not surprisingly, people are not understanding and patient about that sort of thing. All they know is that they want what they want, and they want it now because, darn it, they want it. And when you say no, you're not doing your job. You're not protecting the company. You are obstructing them. I mean, I don't know how many times I've seen people threaten to go to the CEO of a company because someone in DevOps or SysOps said, no, you may not have access to that production database. It's insane. You want to help people. You like to argue, and your friends say you'd make a really good gang lawyer. Wow. That is, yeah. And that's an area that needs help, right? Like, man, talk about purpose. Like, look, I don't even want to do that, and I can get excited about the idea because it's so clearly something that it would be both a challenge, a struggle, a trial, no pun intended, but there is also opportunity for doing really, really valuable work, right? Something bigger than yourself. But that's all I know about that, and I don't know of all the other downsides that go along with it, and that's why you would actually want to go out and talk to people who do that work, you know. And to challenge your idea of ain't never gonna happen, I would go talk to them about why you think it ain't never gonna happen, and see what they say about how they made it happen. And yeah, maybe they came from a background where that was somehow easy, and sometimes that's the answer. Yeah, I mean, I've known a lot of people who they got into programming because they never had to wait to get a computer or a new computer or really good tools, or they never had to work a part-time job that took up most of their time while they were also going to school. They had all the time they wanted in the world to program and do their own thing. The guy who made Napster is people still remember Napster, right? So the guy who made Napster, I remember hearing the story about it, and he had, I think, tried to do a startup and had failed. He was living like at his uncle's house, right? So there's the first thing. He wasn't paying rent or anything. Maybe he was. Maybe he was paying some rent to his uncle. My impression was he was not. He had someplace to crash. There's the first thing. Secondly, he was really passionate about, you know, making this thing that didn't already exist. He had a very clear idea. Second thing. Third thing, he had enough somehow in reserves that he didn't actually have to work for a while. All those things together create an opportunity that he took care of. Now, it was still, come on, it was still really hard work. It always is. It's never a matter of like, oh, well, I was in this situation, therefore it was easy, and all I did was pick it up, and now I'm rich. Enriching the thing. No, it was a lot of work, but it was work that he would not have been able to do without that opportunity. So my point is that, yeah, sometimes that's a thing. I've personally struggled with that, where I see other people with those opportunities and they don't take them, they don't run with them. It gets under my skin, and it tempts me to think poorly, right? I don't like that, but it does. As someone who I previously would have called a friend, talked about misrating people and all this, who was in that situation over and over and over again and never really took advantage of it, and it drove me nuts. And that is not why I would say that we aren't really friends anymore. There are other things that made that clear enough. But that was there along the way. So you thought about it for a couple of years, seeing things about it just makes you want to do it more. So Jamie, Joe looked for a meetup. I don't know. So I know that, like, for technology, there are meetups where technologists, programmers, and QA, like test people and IT people and all that, will just get together to hang out and talk about different things. Maybe go to find I don't know how or where attorneys meet, but I guarantee you they do. They are going to go out there and find one another and do networking, because they need to, what I was talking about earlier, they need to make contact with the community of professionals. And you may have some bad experiences. You may have nothing but great experiences. You won't know until you try. But if you really want to do it, you want to get some truth about what it's like, go hang out. And if the first time you go, you don't talk to anyone, that's okay. You don't have to like put yourself out there, you know, right away when you're still feeling really unsure and just trying to figure out what it is you're looking for. You can go and hang out and listen, but keep going. You know what I mean? Keep looking for that thing. For writing, I'll tell you right now, it is taking forever to build a community of writers. My wife is the opposite of me. She's really good at the networking thing. Partially because, like you were talking about, like she's sincere. She is good at it because she assumes the best about people, while also being shrewd enough to recognize when people are being manipulative. She's genuine. I don't know why she married me, honestly. I joked about that. But I'm also kind of serious. Like, we're such different people in that respect. She's such a blessing in that way. But when she started writing, because she writes, like, she's published. She has novels out there on the bookshelf. We got to experience a really cool thing. I don't know if you've ever heard of Powell's City of Books. It's a Portland store. Huge, multi-floor bookstore. And we were there. My family goes there for fun. Pre-pandemic, we go and we all go to our different sections of the store, and there's a coffee shop inside, and we'll all get a sampling of books that we might want to get. We sit down, have a coffee, and read, and maybe we pick up one or two things. But we make a day of it. It's a lot of fun. Nerds. Lit nerds. It's not all literature, though. Comics count, too. And anyway, so we were there for one of those days, and we went into, she writes Christian women's fiction. And we went into that section of the store because that's where she looks for stuff. That's what she reads, too, among other things. And her book was on the shelf. And even now, I get a little verklempt thinking about it. It was just one of those moments. It was, and seeing her face, I was like, hey, honey, come here, look. And we all took pictures of it, right? We got out our phones and we're like, there it is. You know, it was the coolest thing. So the point is, so she writes, I don't want to listen to Sanjay. How do I turn off Sanjay? I hate Sanjay's voice. I hate his, oh, he drives me nuts. Running away. But anyway, so she's very genuine at it. She's been working at writing for decades. And at some point she started going to this, there's a really good Christian writing convention locally. Now, I'm not writing what I'm a Christian and I'm writing, but I'm not writing what I would call Christian fiction. In fact, I'm writing stuff that would probably tick off a lot of Christians, honestly. Thunder Joe, that is an awesome name. Let's go tell him, just because. Hopefully I still have the push to talk thing here enabled. You have an awesome name. Oh, it's not working. The little microphone thing didn't come up. Darn it. Alright. Let's see. I think I've missed a few. Let me slow up here. See, thought about it for a couple of years. Someone you know is having trouble at work, and his boss was harassing him about not having a girlfriend. And this guy, assistant manager, was walking around talking to girls and flirting with customers and other workers, saying, "Hey, this guy's single. You're beautiful. Give me your number. I'll give it for it." Oh my gosh. My friend was scared, but he didn't know what to do. So he told him, I'm waiting to hear the end of this one. Go check my settings while I'm waiting for the rest of your comment. So you told him that it's sexual harassment. It is. I'm a lawyer, but that seems pretty obvious. Sexual harassment in the workplace, and that it had multiple options. He could go to the manager and report the assistant manager. He could passively go to the guy and end it there. Yep. Yeah, that is not a wise move on that person's part. Not good. Testing. Where's my push to talk? I thought it was that thing. Hello? Hello? Alright, I gotta find my... I've lost my push to talk button, apparently. Settings. Where is it? Controls. Numpad. Yeah, that's the one I'm hitting. Why is that not working? Hello? Testing. 1, 2, 3. It's not working. Check, check. Auto. Some other time. We'll work it out some other way. Sexual harassment. They had multiple... Okay, wanted to make sure I didn't miss another comment. So yeah, so my wife is really good at networking, and she went to a big conference for multiple years and eventually even started like teaching some of the classes there. So she has invested a lot in it, and so she has a really good network. Me, I am a bumbler. I am a social misfit. My resting... I'm going to use a word here I normally wouldn't use. Not because it offends me, but I want to be careful about the stream. But have you ever heard the term resting bitch face? Felt out the friends with that kind of stuff a handful of times. So they go to use a lawyer handbook to solve the problems. Yeah. Careful what advice you offer, but that's really, really cool that they can depend on you that way. And if it interests you, and if you get satisfaction from helping people that way, man, why not find out more? Finding out more. You're not committing to anything. You're not, committing your life to anything. You're just getting information. That's a good thing. He thought the first explosion was so fun, he wanted to do it again. So, yeah, might be interesting to find out more. You never know. But it has taken me, my point, I was not talking about going to these events, and maybe you don't talk to people the first time. It has taken me a long time to start to build up a little bit of a network. And you do it sometimes by kind of throwing yourself in. You know what I mean? You jump into the fire a little bit. So I try to run which you are welcome to join. It's one of the things I do Tuesday nights, is alternating weeks. I have a write-in where me and usually, if I'm lucky, one other person will hang out online. And we write for 20 minutes, and then we just chat about what are you writing, what's going on, But I've met a couple other writers through that. But it's taken a long time, and it's going to take a long time to build up that network. And right now it's even harder with COVID because people don't meet in person. And that really does limit what you can do, But it's worth it. It's worth the investment. Talking to other people who have done what you do, who are professionals, can be very, very, very helpful. And let's face it, you also run into a bunch of self-absorbed, you get some people who just love their own accomplishments. That's okay. Listen to them too. It didn't cost you anything. And their experience, while, some people's attitude might be kind of stinky, their experience is still real. You can still learn things from them. You can learn through positive and negative example, right? Anyway. Preaching. Oh, a pulpit. It's like, look down like, how did I get behind that?
Where's the other remote? That goes. There's this one.
They're both there. That's the other one.
Oh, weird.
The gold one is usually in there. I have that sitting over here right now.
Okay.
Tricked you.
Yeah, you did.
So. And then, yeah, it's been interesting. So the stuff that I write is written using No, it's not experimental, but it's just not it's not pop fiction type stuff. Um, Whereas one of the guys that I hung out with for a while, he was the sort of the first other member to both the write-in and the critique group. He wrote more sort of traditional action adventure, fantasy kind of stuff. So we had very, very different interests in reading and writing. But he also, I mean, he still offered really, really good feedback. In fact, it was interesting to hear from someone who didn't immediately like the genre I was writing in, because he was it was somehow gonna be a little bit more honest take. You know what I mean? My cousin Vinny, yeah. Oh man, it's been a long time since I've seen that one. What's that guy's name? Was that Joe Pesci? I want to say that was Joe Pesci. Deal with this from a distance. Oh, he's already dead. So, and then too, there's like my father-in-law. He got his degree in teaching when he was a little older than I am now. You know, and he had a career in teaching for a while. It wasn't like there's this myth in America in particular about this notion that what people do is they figure out exactly what they want to do when they're young, and they study it even before college, and then they go to college, and then they get the fast track career, and then they do it for 40 years, and that's what a good career is, and that's sort of the... You know how many people actually find what they consider their calling when they are in their 50s or even 60s? There's a guy who, if you've ever had Bob's Red Mill products, I don't know if those are an East Coast thing. I think they're mainly West Coast, because the company itself, where they actually do the milling and all that, is up around Portland. But you know, they make flours and oatmeal and all sorts of stuff like that. They take different grains and they mill them and they make mixes, and it's a good company. They have a really good product. If you like oatmeal, try out Bob's Red Mill. A little free plug for their products. Here's the thing, Bob is a real guy. Like, Bob is the guy who started the company. Bob had retired and was working part-time at a gas station when he was in his 60s. When he bought an old mill, not a lumber mill or something, like a mill for, with grinding stones and stuff, and started making his own products, and then the mill burned down. So naturally, he kept going. Like, one of these people that, you have to admire a little bit just from the outset, because, like, nothing would stop him. That is really cool. And again, don't over-romanticize it. It's not like it burned down and then next Tuesday he was back on his feet and doing stuff. There had to have been really hard times in between. But here's the thing. We went up to see one of their facilities. We got a tour of where they make everything. We got to see how they have these, like, custom designed millstones now. It's like, I don't know, if you're into that kind of thing, it's kind of cool. And they had a pancake breakfast or something, at the time when we were there. It was a fun tour. The point is that the guy's in his 80s by that point, and he took out a 30-year, I think it was, mortgage on the building for the company. These are the thoughts I use to remind myself that starting writing when I'm almost 50 can be a thing. No, it's not going to be the same as if I had started in my teens or 20s. And the truth is, I did start in my teens and 20s. It just took an incredibly long break. Where else do I want to go? This is fun talking and stuff. I also want to go somewhere where I'm actually getting something done while I'm yammering here. Oh, Joe Pesci. Yeah. That guy scares me, I'm telling you. The number of movies I've seen where he plays someone that just...
I think he's a wise guy.
You think he's an actual wise guy?
I think he is.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't be surprised, honestly. Yep. He's one of those people who... Oh, man. Talk about confidence. Frightening degree of confidence. What is there to do in this big amusement park? What do I do?
Where are you at?
I don't know. It doesn't matter. I can teleport anywhere. Amusement park. The whole thing.
Oh. I'm like, well, there's 2 amusement parks. I don't know.
What's a thing to do?
What's on your list to get done?
Let's see. Challenges. Get a life. Oh.
Okay.
Find a better game. Let's see. Build anything in workshops or camps. I guess we'll go claim a workshop and build some stuff. What's a workshop I've not claimed yet?
Oh yeah, that's fun. Hey, that one over there, up.
Up.
Oh, sorry, down. It's already been claimed.
Oh, okay. I'll do this one. I've never even seen that one. We'll start at Valerie Delaria area. Just keep adding syllables. And we'll wander over and claim that workshop.
Dolly Assad's is fun to claim.
Is that bears?
It's bears and salamanders and all kind of things.
I hate bears. Checking out, see if there's a Deathclaw here, because very often, well, I wouldn't even say very often anymore, sometimes. Used to be nearly every time you came over here, there was a Deathclaw waiting for you.
No joke. I've only seen it once, and I thought it was a rare thing.
I don't know how many times it came over here, and I'd be doing something else, and all of a sudden, oh yeah, look, Deathclaw.
Huh.
But he seems to have taken the hint. He doesn't show up as much anymore.
The one time I saw him, he was being beaten up by a bunch of really high-level mutants. And it was an albino scary one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Let's see. Will I be on later? Yeah, I think so. In fact, if I had to say right now, if I did predict the day, I'm probably going to try that Doti Doti Literature Club because I could use something light and pointless. You know, I've got some more writing to do. I've got to look up. I'm looking at a Stream Deck. I want to get some more info on that. I want to bring 10 Ton, the Avatar, the little animated thing back. I was doing that before VTubers were such a big thing, and I kind of wish I had stuck with it more and really developed the animation more because it would have been ahead of the game. But anyway, I wanted to see what the current tools are because the ones I used at the time were pretty rudimentary. I've got stuff to do, and then later in the day, I hope to be able to stream again. So, in all sincerity, thanks for listening. I needed to... You've helped my mental health. I need to unload a little bit this morning. I hope it was at least interesting. And let me know how things go. If you decide you want to, you reach out and you try to find out more stuff, or you try to attend a virtual gathering of some kind to learn more about that, let me know. And if not, no pressure. I want to make it really clear. I'm not trying to put pressure on anyone. It's a big decision. It's a big thing. I'm going to set the cars exploding here. See how many, seed as many explosions as we can. See what we can get going over there. Watch the fireworks. Really fun chatting with you as always. Have a good shower. Is that a thing? But anyway, I'm glad to hear you're feeling better too. Enjoy your day, and I hope to see you again later. Oh, absolutely. Anytime. Guy in the shop's like, why is everything exploding? Including my head. Well, in theory. You survived? How did you survive all that? There we go. I think we've blown up enough there. Time to head up and over the hill. We do always have awesome conversations. I agree. I look forward to them. Oh, this is the Dabney homestead. I remember seeing this before. I've never claimed it, but I do remember seeing it. A deadly rad toad, level 100. That warrants a better gun. There we go. It's hard to tell when these guys die sometimes. Oh! Killed by a toad. Man. Respawn. Drink a little butter. Let's go over here. Yeah, you have a great day too. Where am I going now? Where? Oh, that way. Where I'm going. Like, going towards my last died spot, following the stall, look a road. We're following the road. I'm too winded to run. Don't get too distracted. Dear Tucker, in case you come looking for us, we've gone to Harper's Ferry. We thought we could make a go at it here, since the land was still producing, and you know how much your mother is into canning, but it's just not safe anymore. We had a fog of some sort roll in from the north. That's when the vines started showing up, and the critters around here started to really change. It wasn't until those vines pushed through up into the house that we knew we had to leave. We hope you're safe, son, and if you find this message, come to Harper's Ferry. Times like these, we need safety in numbers. Everyone died anyway. The end.
Yikes.
Oh, come on. That is the story in the game. We're going to make a go of it. Dies. Get out of here. Creepy thing. Jeez. 10mm rounds and handcuffs. Toad smoking a cigarette. Alright. Let's go find my cache. No. So I was going to do this, but I think I'm going to be done. I'm actually just going to... Yeah, we'll take the treasure map. Shotgun shells. We don't need the actual shotgun or anything. And I could claim the workshop. This would be a good thing to do. But how long have I been going here? Almost 2 hours. That's a good length. Let's break up the day and do some other things. Yeah. Alrighty. I can still fast travel, right? Yeah, let's fast travel back. Just make sure we start at the same place as always. Oh, that's an interesting picture. I don't remember that one. Kind of cool looking. But yeah. Hope you enjoyed the stream. I hope the stream was of good quality. If this test goes well, I hate to think what it implies for what I'm going to have to decide here. Restream has been great up to this point, but I'm a little worried now that it's actually hampering the quality of the stream. I went and looked at their site this morning expecting to see like, hey, if you pay, then you get to increase your bandwidth, and there was nothing about that. In fact, all I saw on there was, when I looked at their plans, the features that you get, the most basic one is like $15 a month, and they're like, hey, you get to stream for up to an hour. And I'm like, so I can stream for as long as I want right now. If I buy one of your plans, I lose streaming capacity? I think part of the problem is I may be kind of grandfathered into one of their earlier plans, because I started using them fairly early on. I think if I want to upgrade anything, I'm going to lose a lot of benefits that I have. But the point is, there was nothing on their plan about increased bandwidth. Like, I would fully expect them to, on the free plan, to limit bandwidth, because it costs a lot, and it's free, and it makes sense that that's something that you would pay more for, but it doesn't seem like it's part of it. So if they are limiting bandwidth right now, that suggests that they just maybe can't keep up with their own service. I hate to think that's true. I hope I'm wrong, but right now it seems like that's what it is. Anyway, I will go back and review the quality of this a little later, and we'll see how it does. And if I have to pick between Twitch or this, I honestly don't know which one I would pick. We don't have to decide yet, though. So, God bless. Have a great day. Hope to see you again later. Take care.